Hi guys, Iron Cameraman here. I'd like to start with the fact that everything went off track not only in Part 2, but also in real life. Originally, the leaks given to many content creators were supposed to be published in a certain order on specific days and times, all the way up until October 1st. Unfortunately, one participant didn't read the instructions carefully, and when he saw that others had started posting the first 2 leaks according to schedule, he went and posted all of them. Other YouTubers wrote to him as soon as they saw it and asked him to delete them quickly, which he did, but it was already too late since the leaks spread across all communities like hotcakes, and there was no stopping it anymore. We'll get back to that drama a little later, but for now, let's move on to the long-awaited leaks that really surprised us. What unites them is that the setting is the Speakerman base. Let me remind you, Boom was already planning to show it back in Part 2, but he decided to split the episode into 3 parts, so as not to delay its release by another month or 2. The main leak, without a doubt, is this one, since it repeats a similar scene from the TV Man Titan 2.0 teaser, which is also confirmed by Boom's words about the supposed return of one of our favorites, which without question means the Speakerman Titan. Most likely, just like with TV Man Titan, we might not actually see Speakerman Titan in Part 3 itself, but instead get an obvious tease pointing to him. In that case, Boom will add the full Titan reveal scene either to episode 79 full or to the next season, season 26, just as he did earlier with TV Man Titan. We also have an answer that in episode 80 we'll see the return of a strong character. It's not hard to guess that this will be Speakerman Titan, right after his base is shown. This is also hinted at by the hidden message, "Time to clap back for real." Obviously, this not only references the executioner's similar phrase, "all invaders will be destroyed," but also points toward the content of episode 80. It fits perfectly with the words about the return of a strong character, the Titan. It's hard to say whether he'll head out to free TV Man Titan or to help the Armada. In the second case, he might not even need to search for Watchman of Doom, since Watchman will head to defend the Armada right after repairs, because his energy cannon was disabled by Michael, and his huge, slow sword is useless against the agile Speakerman Titan. Either way, it's unlikely that TV Man Titan will be freed so quickly, since the similar arc with the infected Speakerman Titan lasted a whole 25 episodes. Most likely, TV Man Titan will only be freed by combined efforts after all the major players appear. First, the PC Men in episode 81, and then G-Man. Since only 2 parts were originally planned, there's a chance Part 3 will be much shorter. Not 6 or 7 minutes like Parts 1 and 2, but 3 to 5 minutes, like the parts of episode 77. There are 2 reasons for this. First, it's unlikely that a long battle with Watchmen of Doom will happen in the Abyss like it did at the Cameraman base, because simply put, there's no one capable of resisting him. The teleported squad is small and no match for a Titan. Second reason, Boom may have made Part 1 and 2 so long because he wanted to fit in all the scenes, including the Speakerman base within them. His words about the Speakerman base in Part 2 also point to this. In hindsight, after seeing both parts, it's obvious that otherwise they would have been about 10 minutes each, and we would have had to wait another month for release. But what actually happened to our squad? Polycephaly is clearly outdoors, not at the Speakerman base, and he's holding a beacon. Also, during the teleportation, the floor changed to iron. We've already seen a similar one at the TV Men base, and also in some areas of Alpha Hills. Obviously, he can't be outdoors. So there are several possible scenarios. First, Watchmen of Doom followed the squad into the Abyss not to destroy them, but to send a spy after them, an invisible astro with a beacon, which would reveal the location of the Speakermen base. That's why the squad runs from the astro, but not toward the Speakermen base, realizing that the astros might track them, and with them Watchmen of Doom too, but instead toward another place, possibly near the base, planning to reach it later on foot. It's also possible that the invisible spy wasn't with Watchmen, but accidentally stumbled upon the squad after they teleported into Astro territory. Second scenario, the Astros and Watchmen were distracted by Crazy Jeffrey. As a result, our squad escapes and runs into the spy again. In both scenarios, the iron floor most likely belongs to the Speakermen base. However, either polycephaly changes the destination together with the floor so the base doesn't get exposed, or he initially teleports them into an intermediate location, which to me seems less likely. It's hard to say if the squad will even make it to the base in Part 3. It's possible their storyline will be cut off at the place they teleported to, by switching the POV to a new operator who was watching the whole time through the TV scientist. However, this creates a plot hole, since, as we remember, the TV men and cameramen had to stop their transmissions and surveillance, because the Astros gained access to them through Watchmen of Doom. We also saw the transmission disabled message at the beginning of Part 1. In that case, our Speakerman operator has to end up at the base. But how? I can't say for sure with confidence, so all we can do is wait for new leaks. So let's get back to them. The ventilation leak. It goes from bottom to top, which shows that it pumps air from the surface underground, meaning the base is underground. Why would agents need air if they don't have mouths or lungs? First, to cool down the equipment. If you just seal a base underground without ventilation, it'll create a greenhouse effect, heating up faster than cooling down, which will negatively affect the equipment, especially since deep underground the temperature is higher than on the surface, though we don't know how deep the Speakerman base is. Considering it's a secret facility, the depth could be hundreds of meters, but that still wouldn't save the base from an attack by the mothership, just like it didn't save the TV men. Second, humans used to work here, and they wouldn't have survived without air. As we remember, they were also present at the Cameraman base, so they could have been evacuated together with them. The presence of an engineer cameraman, as well as containers, might suggest that cameramen really were teleported to the Speakerman base. The forklift could be used specifically for moving their containers. However, we don't see any other cameramen in the leak. It's unlikely, but not impossible, that the TV men actually teleported the cameramen to their third empty base. In that case, the forklift is used to transport upgrades for Speakerman Titan, and the containers are just reused boom assets. We also don't see a large number of Speakermen at the base. Most likely, they are still fighting. The engineer's camera has a translator attached. There are two options for where it came from. First, the Speakermen made a second unit. The problem is that the first one is a prototype, meaning it exists in a single copy, so this is unlikely. Second option, as we remember, the detective took the translator with him, meaning he successfully reached the base and returned the prototype. But why would the engineer need it? We could assume he's speaking naturally in gestures with the Speakerman to his right, but his camera is pointed in a completely different direction, forward. So his conversation partner is someone who needs the translator, either another Speakerman or a skibidi, since they too were evacuated with the cameraman. But what could the engineer be discussing with him? And what is the TV scientist doing here? Considering that both of them are in charge of new developments and research, they could be discussing the upgrade of Speakerman Titan, like transferring to him the captured Juggernaut energy cannon, or planning a further counterattack against the Armada, since obviously with their current forces, which include only one full-sized Titan, they won't manage. I didn't count G-Man, since he didn't even help his own skibidi, including the G-Squad, defend against the attack on the cameraman base, even though with his help, they could have held off the Duchess and eventually freed TV Man Titan. Apparently, G-Man is still receiving his upgrade for now, and will return once it's completed. Just like the cameramen, the Speakermen also erected a statue in honor of their hero, Dark Speakerman, which proves his status is equal to Plungerman, despite the fact that we barely saw him since he was introduced quite late, only in episode 63, dying already in episode 70. Most likely, according to Boom's plan, he had been fighting somewhere off-screen earlier. The Dark Speaker statue also got some small changes compared to the original. The shirt color changed from red to black, and the tie color from black to red. Turns out, even posthumously, Boom keeps redesigning characters. As for what the TV scientist could be discussing with the POV, most likely just an ordinary Speakerman from previous parts, I have no idea. As we figured out, he shouldn't be showing broadcasts either. We could assume he'll repeat the confidential hypnosis scene, but hypnosis has only a temporary effect, and you can't hypnotize a Speakerman since he records through a body-mounted camera. And here's the obvious teaser for Speakerman Titan. This is indicated by the huge gates clearly meant for a large-scale combat unit like a Titan. On the left, you can spot a head, suspiciously resembling, with its antennas, the Speakerman from Season 25 who handed the TV scientist the new device, the speech-reversing speaker. Most likely, this is the chief scientist engineer of the Speakerman, and his presence at the base before the Titan upgrade is completed makes perfect sense, since he should be in charge of it. The only one missing for the full set is Kleiner. Maybe he made it to the base too, and in that case, all the scientists of the Alliance and the Skibidi could be gathered together to discuss something important. And as I mentioned earlier, the forklift is either loading Cameraman containers or upgrades for the Titan. And now a few words about the leak of leaks and the whole situation. First of all, what's bad about it, you might ask? Well, first, it undermined trust in the content creators, and in the future, fewer people will receive such materials in advance. Second, videos were planned for you based on these leaks, which now won't come out, since you've already seen everything before release. Third, next time the organizers of such events will think 10 times about whether it's worth it at all if everything can be ruined so easily. Events like this keep viewers interested in the project and bring all of us together in discussions. Neither we nor you will be better off if we lose them. However, guys, this wasn't done on purpose. We're all human, we all make mistakes, so don't go leaving angry comments for the YouTuber who leaked it. Honestly, at first I didn't even want to point out who did it, but I noticed a lot of fake rumors going around, and people didn't fully understand what had actually happened. And that's exactly why I decided to tell the situation as it really was, without sugarcoating, so you wouldn't have bad associations with this YouTuber and would know the truth. And if you liked this breakdown, subscribe so you don't miss the next ones, give a like to support the effort, and share your thoughts and discoveries in the comments.
Meet the new deluxe 6-inch skibidi toilet figures. Unleash raw power with Berserker Mutant. Lock down the fight with Detainer Astro. Strike from the shadows with Dark TV Man. And lead the chaos with the classic Skibidi Toilet. The new Skibidi Toilet Deluxe 6-inch figures. In stores now.